Welcome back, Ole Miss fans. This is your host, Zach Moreth, with another episode of the Rebel Talk. Ahead of Tulane's game on Saturday, I'm very excited to present Jack Chasanoff coming in. He's a Tulane insider. He's going to give you guys all the details, a rundown about the Green Wave. It's another exciting matchup a week before LSU. So Ole Miss has to win this one to put themselves in a position for hopefully potential for College game day, maybe not, but definitely some potential for a top 10 matchup. But before we get there, let's focus on this week, Jack. First and foremost, how's it going, man?
Yeah, it's going good. I also had a sliver of hope that this weekend would actually be College game day. Maybe if Duke had beaten Illinois, this would have been a ranked matchup. They're going to Coral Gables. Like, Florida's already lost 2 games. What are they doing?
Yeah, no, dude, I agree. Are you coming up this weekend?
No, I might have if game day was there, but yeah, I got a few buddies that are going, and I think there'll be a decent little Tulane crowd.
I agree. I felt like I wasn't in New Orleans a couple of years ago, but it's definitely one where it goes both ways, right? Nola is very close. Bunch of Ole Miss people there, and then I think Tulane's going to have a good show out too in the Grove. So I'm pretty excited. Hopefully, get to see some of you guys roaming around the Grove and in the Vaught. It's gonna be fun, man. But let's dive into it, Jack. The Tulane schedule: 3-0, Northwestern, a win at South Alabama, and then against Duke. Surprisingly enough, it feels like these wins have primarily been overpowered from the offensive side of the ball. You look at a Jon Sumrall team, you might think defensive guy, that's kind of his bread and butter. But Jake Retzlaff, who we just talked about it, who showed up to campus in late July, has been the story of the season for the Green Wave.
Yeah, I mean, he's been real good. He started off pretty slow. I think he didn't play his best ball against South Alabama and against Northwestern the week before that. And Tulane fans were kind of wondering, does he not know how to pass? Like, are our receivers terrible? Like, why are we only throwing for 100 yards a game? What's going on here? And they were asking our show all sorts of questions too. And we sort of came up with 3 answers, right? Number 1 was, I think we're saving our best stuff for first Duke and then, of course, Ole Miss this weekend. That's number 1. Number 2 is I think that he was new, like you mentioned, Zach. He's been on campus for about 50 days now, 50, which is just absurd that your starting quarterback has probably a total of like 30 practices with the team. That's probably even generous, right? And so really what the Wave did was they sort of they were planning on running a read option RPO scheme. That's what Jake does best. He's the most dangerous with his legs. So getting him to where he's, reading an end, reading a linebacker, and then making a quick snap decision and using his athleticism to take advantage of opposing defenses is where he's best. And that's what they did against Duke. And that was by far his best game. 245 yards, 117 yards on the ground, 4 rushing touchdowns, which is a record for a Tulane quarterback. He was only 5 yards away from matching Sean King as the only Tulane quarterback with 250 passing yards and over 100 rushing yards. So pretty legendary performance against our former quarterback, Darian Mensah. Tulane fans were pretty stoked to see that.
Always love that. Full circle moments in college football, man. Nothing better. Nothing better. All right, well, let's talk about the rushing attack a little bit here. Obviously, Jake, he's looks like he's getting the rushing the ball more than anybody on the team. Does that kind of file into just the RPO? Like, is he running the ball to that much extent, Jack? Like, I'm trying to get my head around this.
Yeah, so our starting running back is actually Maurice Turner, who he played in week 1, but then he's been dealing with an ankle injury. I don't know if he's going to be healthy for this weekend. But our running back's the deepest position on this Tulane roster. Zuberi Mobley is a very experienced player coming over from FAU. Javin Gordon is a true freshman who was a Duke flip, by the way. So he got a full circle moment last week also. They both ran the rock pretty well. But Mo Turner hasn't played since week 1. He's suited up for both games, but hasn't taken a snap. And then, of course, Jake Retzlaff is super, super effective on the ground. And our backup quarterback, who I am positive Tulane or Ole Miss fans are going to see on Saturday, is Brendan Sullivan. He's a transfer from Iowa, and he's really good on the ground too. So there's going to be 4 guys running the ball, maybe 5 if Mo Turner's healthy. But yeah, like It is a factor of the read option game. Like Coach Sumrall said, Jake got a little confident in his running ability and kept the ball a few times. He should have put it off last game. One of them was an easy walk-in touchdown for a running back too. But it's more just the fact that there are a lot of talented rushers, so they're splitting a lot of time. So Jake's the only one who's on the field for almost every play, right? So that's why he's got the most rushes and most rushing yards.
Makes plenty of sense. And I'll be honest, I'm not pleased hearing this. Taylor Green kind of did a number in Vaught-Hemingway Stadium last weekend. It sounds like it's going to be a very similar matchup against that Ole Miss defense. And quite honestly, it could be another high scoring offensive game. If I did, give my 2 cents, I'd probably say upper 30s, potentially even 40s for both teams here. I wanted to talk out wide here. Amari Hayes seems to be the guy who's getting, I think he had maybe 13 receptions, and the next highest was like 7 or I don't know.
Yep.
Like, this guy's getting some bottom line. He's clearly wide receiver one, looks like a smaller, speedy slot type guy. Just what's Hayes bringing to the table, and what type of threats is he going to bring to Ole Miss this week?
Yeah, well, you touched on a little bit of Tulane's fans' concerns through the first 2 weeks. We were like, do we have any receivers? Like, why isn't anyone else catching the ball? But there's talent on the roster. There's a lot of speed on the roster. We just, for whatever reason, didn't really open up the playbook until this last matchup. So the guy that I want to focus on is Shaz Preston. He finally came alive last week against Duke. Former top 13 recruit in the entire country, went to Alabama from New Orleans and came home last year. And he was the talk of camp. People were telling me that this guy's the best receiver in the entire group of 5. He's the man. He's the dude on offense. And he hurt his hamstring and missed like 3/4 of the season last year.
Sure.
So he's back healthy and finally got involved last week. I hope that we feature him some more in the passing game. Amari Hayes, like you mentioned, is a quick slot guy, great at getting open off schedule also when Jake's scrambling around. And then a few other guys are transfers. So Jimmy Callaway is like a 4-4 guy who came over from Louisville. Anthony Brown-Stevens, another 4-4 guy who came over from Kentucky. Ole Miss fans might be familiar with him. And then let's see, we've got Zy Carl Lewis, who's a redshirt freshman. I'm really excited about him. He's only got 3 or 4 catches on the year so far, but if there's ever a game to break out, this might be the time. Yeah. I mean, our guys aren't first round NFL draft picks, but they've got tools. They're capable receivers. And honestly, like in years past, looking at this matchup, especially in 2023, when y'all had Trey Harris and Caden Lee was still there, and I forgot the guy's name who came over from UTSA, but I was convinced he was going to be a stud for y'all. Yeah, it didn't turn out that way. But yeah, back in 2023, I thought this was a big mismatch, right? But now I don't know. I'm not so sure. I mean, it might sound a little cocky from the group of 5 school, but I mean, obviously, what's his name? Trey Harrison or Harrison. What's his last name?
Wallace. Yeah.
Harrison Wallace. Yeah. He's like 3rd in the country in receiving yards. Really, really good player. I don't think we've got a guy quite like that, but the rest of the receiving core, I'd say, is probably pretty comparable. So it'll be interesting. I think it's going to be a fun matchup. And if the final score is in the 30s or the 40s, that's not a good sign for Tulane. So we're going to try and keep one of those numbers at least at the 20s. Hopefully it's Ole Miss's number. We'll see.
By the way, some all-time names over there on the wide receiving core of Tulane. Yeah. That is awesome. I mean, I'm not going to enjoy hearing them in the Vaught this weekend, but they're cool. I give you guys credit for that. I want to talk defense a little here, Jack. Jon Sumrall, defensive guy. He's done it everywhere that he's been. Last week, Duke, 300-plus passing yards. South Alabama did a nice job establishing the run. I guess, have you been underwhelmed with what you've seen from the defense, or is there something that, maybe I'm missing just looking basically at a stat sheet?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'd say it's more of the latter. I mean, there have been stretches of 45 plus of the 60 minutes of every single game where Tulane has held the opposing team to under 10 points. Right.
Wow.
And so Northwestern, obviously the final score is 23-3. South Alabama got to a 14-point lead 5 minutes into the game, and then Tulane outscored them 33-3 up until the last 5 minutes of the game when it was basically over, right? I mean, the final score was real close. We kind of let our foot off the gas. And then same thing with Duke, where it was a 3-score game with about 5.5 minutes left. We were holding Duke to 9 points until pretty late in the game, right? So this defense can play when they're playing, right? It is what you expect from a Jon Sumrall defense, forcing turnovers. We were number 1 in the country going into week 3. Now we might be tied for second in turnovers forced. We haven't gotten a ton of pressure on the quarterback, which is surprising. But we've done a decent job stopping the run, other than that South Alabama first 5 minutes. So, I mean, we'll see which defense shows up, right? I don't think Tulane's going to be in a situation where they're up by 3 scores against Ole Miss. So I don't think they're going to have that sort of relaxed mentality that they've seen the last few matchups. But I mean, Ole Miss is known for their offense, right? Lane Kiffin runs a really good system. So Ole Miss is going to score. I'm not saying Tulane's going to shut them out, but I wouldn't be surprised if we got a few stops.
Absolutely. And you mentioned Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin, the offense. What's kind of the perception of Tulane fans about the quarterback room right now? Because obviously Lane comes out and says Austin's anticipated to be playing, which clearly isn't going to happen. Like, is there a little confusion? Do you guys kind of know what's going on there?
I mean, we all know that Simmons is in a walking boot, right? And Chambliss played real well last week. So, I mean, yeah, if you listen to Lane Kiffin, you'd be confused, but he's a good coach. He knows what he's doing, right? We're all pretty convinced that Chambliss is going to play. That being said, it's interesting looking at the stat sheet where I think Ole Miss has run the ball like 130 times, and then they've passed the ball like 90 times or so far.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit different of a Lane Kiffin offense than what we're used to. Kawan Lacey, the South Alabama transfer, is toting the rock pretty well for y'all. So we'll see. I mean, historically, Tulane struggled with these like sort of like more powerful running backs who can break tackles and run through contact. I mean, we're fast and we're bigger than the average G5 team, but there's still some sort of like I'll call it beef difference.
Sure.
if you know what I mean. But I don't know. I mean, if Chambliss is running the read option and is doing damage with his arm as well, Tulane's defense might struggle. I mean, I would honestly, from an outside perspective, I'd prefer if Simmons played, and I'll probably get clipped for this, right? But I'd prefer if Simmons played because he turns the ball over, and Tulane 100%. Forces a lot of turnovers. So, I mean, if Simmons is out there and he throws 2 or 3 interceptions, like that's the anatomy of an upset, right? It's turnovers, it's shortening the game, it's stuff like that. So I think Simmons gives Tulane a better chance to win.
I completely agree. Austin looks way more uncomfortable back there. He's not as effective in the RPO because he's not as fast as Chambliss. And again, he's 19. So these big marquee games where the pressure's on, man, there's not that level of experience yet where I know Chambliss is coming from a D2 school, but I mean, he takes his team in the national championship.
Yeah.
Older guy as well. Earlier today, Jack, Lane Kiffin said he would not be surprised if Jon Sumrall was in the SEC meetings with him next year. Any thoughts or concerns there?
Yeah, well, I'm really excited Tulane's joining the SEC.
That's the right answer, man.
Yeah. We're back where we belong, one of the founding members, right? Look, I mean, it happens every year when there's a successful G5 coach. You kind of got to just tune the noise out. I think that a lot of that noise had to do with Tulane ending the year on a 3-game losing streak last season. It was that and the fact that our quarterback had already cashed the check from Duke. But we'll see what happens. I mean, I'm not worried about Cal or Virginia Tech. I don't think those jobs are going to be appealing to Sumrall. So, yeah, we'll talk about it when there's a story, Zach. How about that? You can have me back on and we can talk about
100%, dude. No, I think you hit the nail on the head, man. It's the only place that really concerns me is maybe Florida and obviously Kentucky because he's an alum.
Right.
But your Cal, your Tech, the smaller D, I would not be too concerned about the smaller P5 guys because I think Sumrall, I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it feels like he really likes New Orleans, man.
Well, the thing is, so his family, he has a huge family, right? He's got like 4 kids. Half of them were born there. They all go to school there. His wife loves it in New Orleans. He loves it in New Orleans. I mean, he's gained a little bit of weight. Who hasn't, right? When you're in that city. So, no, he loves it. And also, like you alluded to this, at Tulane, you're competing with Memphis, USF, UTSA, Boise State to make a playoff spot. You just have to be like the best of those teams essentially to make the playoff. Whereas if he goes to a power conference school, he's going to have to be one of the 3 best teams in a loaded SEC, right? For example.
You're right.
So if I'm him, if I'm Jon Sumrall, I'm saying like, I'm not going to take a job where a coach is fired. Like sure. I'm going to go to a situation where the coach was hired somewhere else because he was in such a good situation that allowed him to succeed. There's no reason for him to take a job that's essentially a sinking ship, and it's his job to bail out the water and patch up the holes and bring in the right crew and stuff like that. Like that doesn't sound like you're setting yourself up for success. He took the Tulane job because Willie Fritz had so much success at Tulane that he jumped to Houston. So, right, like this is a very smart coach, targeted coach. Like, I don't know, maybe if Kiffin gets hired to replace DeBoer at Alabama, I'm sorry, I don't mean to put that out there on this podcast, but that's the type of situation where I could see him leaving for, where it's like, okay, you can't turn down this opportunity. The program's in a good spot. They've got money. They've got funding. They've already got good talent on the roster. That's the type of situation that Jon Sumrall would go to.
That makes plenty of sense, dude. Again, he talked about it, but even Monte Kiffin approached him back in his Troy days and was like, dude, the way you run your system, the way your guys play, it's hard. It's phenomenal. It's really good football. So I will say, as an Ole Miss fan as well, definitely on the edge of my seat this weekend. It doesn't matter that it's Tulane, lower level of football. Summerall's going to have these guys ready to go. The last thing I got, Jack, kind of want to get your thoughts on any sort of score prediction. You don't even have to give me a winner. Feel free to if you want, but what do you think is going to go down on the field this Saturday?
Yeah. Well, I'm really hoping that Ole Miss fans and the team are super excited for their potential game day opportunity against LSU next weekend. And, forget about little Tulane coming to town. Because if that happens, Tulane's going to win the football game. So that's like a little bit of complacency, a little bit of I'll call it, I don't want to say lack of respect, but you're looking ahead. You're looking ahead a little bit to the next matchup. Maybe you turn the ball over once or twice. If that stuff happens, I think Tulane can end up winning this game 31-24 or something like that. Yeah. But if Ole Miss is focused, if they get their playmakers the ball, Perkins and Harris come to play on defense and shut down the quarterback run, then it's a really good Tulane team. Like, I'm confident we'll get a few stops regardless. I'm confident we'll be able to move the ball a bit, but I could see a world where it's 30-18, 21, something like that. Ole Miss wins it. What's the spread at now? I saw it. It got down to 10.5. Did it bounce back up?
Yeah, that's the last I saw.
Yeah. So, but I also saw that most of the money was on Ole Miss, which means the sharps are putting their money on Tulane on the spread. Who knows, man? I mean, it's a fun game. That's what college football is all about, right? It's Ole Miss is Tulane's second oldest rival in college football.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah, we've played almost 80 games against each other from back from the 20s, 30s, and 40s.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, so it's fun to play these matchups, and I hope we get to play each other again soon once Tulane joins the SEC next year, like Lane Kiffin predicts.
Come on, bro. I need that just for the color matchups. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful sight out there.
Yeah.
He's Jack Chasanoff. Jack, final thing. Go ahead and plug your account, your social media, your guys' YouTube channel, whatever you want, man.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I'm on the Uptown Update, which is a weekly Tulane football podcast. You can follow us on Twitter at @TUptownUpdate or on Instagram or anything else. The Uptown Update's our handle. Check us out. We previewed the Ole Miss game. The episode should be out in about 20 minutes or so. So by the time you're listening to this, it'll probably be out. And yeah, roll wave. I hope it's a great game this weekend, Zach, and maybe we'll play each other again in the playoff or something like that.
That would be sweet, man. Let's plan on it. He's Jack Chasanoff. Thanks for coming on, Jack. As always, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And stay tuned to rebelwalk.com for all your Ole Miss sports needs. Hotty toddy, go Rebs.